So one of my favorite sayings in terms of, when I look at exercises and their validity within a program is you can't fire a cannon from a canoe.
Be mindful here. Good. Go down into the lats. Push back into the hips. Yeah, there you go. Good.
You have to be stable to do something. Firing a cannon from a canoe, you shoot it, you're going to flip your canoe over. Firing a cannon from a huge-ass ship that it was meant to be shot from, it's not going to rock the ship or anything. Same thing with what we're doing. If I'm RDLing 5 or 6 plates, but I'm like coming way back on my heels and I'm unstable, it's going to be an absolute shit exercise where I'm losing a ton of output. If I'm getting good weight displacement, I'm still on my heel, but I have good pressure on my pads and on my ball on my foot as well, then I'm going to be stable. What's up, guys? Hunter Labrada here. Got Nick Bagley as well. We just finished up doing what was my first hard session of 2023. It also happened to be the first time me doing my new back and hamstring day. We're training on a new split. I'll bring you a video on that in the near future, but for now what we wanted to talk about is an exercise that is completely new to me at this point because it's been over a year since I've done it, and that is
RDL. So a hinge variation is always something good that we can throw in for glute development, hamstring development, and then there's the argument of it being an isometric for back, but the idea here is the posterior chain thickness movement. So more glutes, more hamstrings,
more erectors, more lats. Not that I think they load your lats well, but anecdotally, there's enough people with incredible backs that have done quite a bit of pulling.
Yeah,
so
there's something to be said about the isometric that is done in that movement, for sure. Just holding heavy load.
Mm-hmm. Let's go over the setup because you showed me some things today that I had never heard before that made a big difference in cueing and stuff.
Yeah. So the main things he asked about was foot placement. Find what's comfortable. Get in your normal stance that you would just kind of standing comfortably, and just let your feet be there, right? So if you're too close and it feels awkward when you bend over, you're going to have a hard time doing it under load. So find a comfortable position, kind of slightly play around with your toes, turn them in, turn them out to match your hips so that the femur and the hip can move freely when you push your hips back, right? And then the thing that I see constantly and the thing that I noticed him do first and the cue that I called out was not pulling from the shoulders. So the first thing he wanted to do was pull from here and lift it to the ceiling. Mm-hmm. But the idea here is that we're loading the hamstrings and the glutes. So pull from the glutes, right? That's going to be the main thing that pulls us out of a hinge, and then the hamstrings are an assistance. From there, the back should just be stabilizing. That should be it. So driving from the glutes first, and you can comment on what
your
that
changed. Your back job is to keep your spine straight, nothing more. You're not going for any spinal flexion.
Right. And then,
especially at the top, which you see a lot of people do because they think they're really doing a good job of getting their glutes when they squeeze their ass and push their hips way through the window. No. If you watch Nick does an even better job of it than I do, but when he is at the top of that rep, that bar is still very much so in front of him. Right. There is very much so tension through his glute and hamstring still, and his back is perfectly flat. You'll see both of us as we got tired, me more than him, on my 7th and 8th reps of the set that I would call a working set today, still feeling the exercise out, but you'll see my back start to round it a little bit, and then, me, feeling everything, the feedback that I'm getting, it goes from feeling like this is mainly in my hams and glutes with a little back to I am just monkeying this up with my erectors at this point, and that's time to shut the set down. You've reached mechanical failure for an RDL.
Right.
Could I have monkeyed the set up for another 3 or 4 reps? Yeah, absolutely, but it wouldn't have been an RDL, and it wouldn't have been through my hamstrings like we wanted it to be.
And the thing that I think a lot of people miss is when they grab that bar, they want to pull here. They want to pull into the upper back, right? Because they think that that's where the tension is going to be applied. But your lat is what spans the rib cage and the spine. So that needs to be active. So we grab that bar, kind of tuck the shoulders down and get the lats engaged and then keep them tight the whole time. That's how we keep our spine stable and we can just push into the hips and get the load where we want it to be versus trying to find this position with your shoulders pulled back and kind of walking around, like you said, moving around a whole bunch at the top. But the main cues that I focus on is when you start, push hips back, tuck elbows, find glute tension. From there, it's pretty simple.
And guys, you'll see both of us whenever he says find lat tension. You'll see us. The bar is not going to bend, but in both of our minds, we're trying to bend that bar out. trying to externally rotate the arm, pack the elbow close to the body, and really get that lat active and the shoulder packed down and back. It's an active, stabilized back.
Right.
The one last thing that was a big, help for me that I think people will really get a lot out of is, where should our weight displacement be on our feet? Should we be pulling just from the heel, the whole foot, mainly on the toes? Where?
So we want heel pressure, right? We want to have the heel on the pad and have our weight shifted back. But if we lose that to where our toes start to come off, we're now going to lose surface area that we can push into the floor, right? So like if I'm going to have my whole foot on the floor, why would I just have my heel? That's going to lose how much contact I have with the floor versus I put my whole foot on the floor. Now I can push all that force into that, right? And then from there, if my toes are coming off, I'm going to have that feeling of falling backwards when that's not what I want to do with that bar, right?
So one of my favorite sayings in terms of, when I look at exercises and their validity within a program is, you can't fire a cannon from a canoe. Meaning, you have to be stable to do something. Firing a cannon from a canoe, you shoot it, you're going to flip your canoe over. Firing a cannon from a huge-ass ship that it was meant to be shot from, it's not going to rock the ship or anything. Same thing with what we're doing. If I'm RDLing 5 or 6 plates, but I'm like coming way back on my heels and I'm unstable, it's going to be an absolute shit exercise where I'm losing a ton of output. If I'm getting good weight displacement, I'm still on my heel, but I have good pressure on my pads and my ball on my foot as well, then I'm going to be stable. And, not just RDLs, but every exercise that we do, even in the back session today, everything was braced, everything was stable, a lot of attention was paid to it. So that's a big thing to consider is your stability throughout your exercises, but especially in the RDL with, your weight distribution across your foot, because, the first couple of reps I did, I could have picked my toes up completely off the ground. Nick noticed it, especially after I said I was having a little weird knee rotation. So, the second that I kicked my shoes off, B, paid a little bit more attention to the weight distribution and still mainly driving from my heel, but had definite pressure on the ball. Then the last thing is really spreading my toes. That's a huge thing, as he talked about surface area. The more grounded you are, the more stable you're going to be. So, those 3 things made a huge difference for me for the exercise today.
That's it for me.
Yeah, guys. All in all, today, the whole session was awesome, but, especially getting back to doing RDLs with what I would consider expert set of eyes on me to do them. I'm very grateful to have
That's a bold statement, Cotton.
F&A, Cotton. F&A.
We'll see how it plays out.
But anyways, so it was really nice to have a set of eyes. I really trust looking at me and cueing me and just kind of walking me through the exercise because, everything that we do in the weight room is a perishable skill. RDL is one of the more advanced perishable skills there are. There's a lot of joints moving around, a lot of load involved. So, first time back, it was awesome to have a set of eyes on me and really, learn the exercise a little better than I had before. So, if there's any indication of how good today was, me squirming around the whole video we've done, I don't have to poop myself. It's just my lower back's so tight and blown up, it's really uncomfortable to sit and breathe and kind of exist right now. So,
1, full foot pressure on the pad. 2, use your glutes. Find glute tension when you push your hips back. 3, brace the spine. So pull into the lats, get the whole back nice and braced.
Couldn't have said it better myself.